Hey, Jen.
Hi, Dean.
Jen, episode, I think 200. Crazy. Just crazy. And the last of the 5 episodes or 6 episodes we're going to do on the business of being fractional. So if you take a moment, tell folks who you are, then I'm going to talk to Joe for a second, and then I've got a bunch of questions to ask you guys.
Sounds great. I'm Jen Hamilton. I'm a fractional COO. I mainly help small businesses where the founder or even the team are experts in their craft, but not experts in how to operationalize their business. So they call me. And these days, my clients are mostly professional service firms, mission-based organizations, and they're at least doing 500,000 in revenue.
And you've got people that you will assign to them.
I do.
There you
Quite
go.
a few amazing people.
And Joe, hi.
Hi, Dean. How are
You're
you?
not whenever someone's a client, I technically like to disclose. So your CMO is technically not a client, although I've one of your people was a client, and then another one I think was a client. But corporate wise, you're not. Whereas with Jen, I do have to disclose Jen is a client
Yeah.
currently. So
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you, Joe. So Joe, tell people about your CMO.
Your CMO is a fractional chief marketing officer uh, organization. We're actually a franchise. I think we're the only franchise in the
Wow.
fractional CMO space. I have 21 CMOs that are franchisees. And what matters about that isn't that we're a franchise. Like, we don't have exclusive territories and
Right.
special ways to make French fries, but we have very committed CMOs, people that are engaging in the fractional way of life, kind of permanently. They're full time fractionals, is what I like to say. So they're not in between jobs, they're not interim, they're
Right.
there to do the work fractionally. And we built a system to deliver that fractional work very consistently and to deliver the similar results from CMO to CMO, industry to industry, company to company.
Right.
And it is different delivering work fractionally than it is
Yes.
full time or part time.
Yeah, we're going to get into that too. Jen, okay, so let's get into this sort of the business of being fractional, the fractional executive industry. What trends are you seeing right now? We're recording this in mid 2025. What trends are you seeing right now in the demand for fractional executives?
It's an interesting demand, not so much on the client side, although that's starting to increase and I'm seeing. But
Interesting.
this happened around 2020 and it's happened around other times when the economy is a little stuck or really not as quite as hefty and robust as we like, is that I'm seeing much more people coming in to the
Hmm.
space. Like, okay, I lost my corporate job. I can't find another one. I've heard of this fractional thing. Maybe that's something I want to do. So I see a lot more folks coming into this space, but that doesn't mean the need isn't there. In fact, I think because of economic uncertainty and just the challenge that we have that we're currently seeing, and this is going to happen again. It's happened
Right.
before. It's going to happen again. That this is why actually this is our time as fractionals. This is our space. This is when we really need to get out there, be bold, and share because there are so many small businesses who need help more than ever riding this wave, figuring out how to get through this wave, and they need to do it at a fraction of cost. So I do think there's more need. It's just going to take a little more effort to be able
Right.
to break through that noise so that people are willing to make that investment and see that this is the smartest way to get through economic challenges as a client.
So even in a bit of a tightening, demand is durable. Supply goes up
Yeah.
because more people come in, but demand is still durable.
There are a lot of small businesses just in the US. I want to,
Yeah.
one of the stats I look at, it's like 99.9% of the businesses are small.
Mhm.
So that's a whole lot of folks. And then within 5 years, 5% of them fail. So there's a whole lot of need to avoid those odds being hit. And that's what we're all about.
Right.
Whatever our specialty is in that fractional space, likely they're missing us. And that is why they're having those challenges that sometimes have them end up closing their doors.
And Joe, what trends you've been in the business for a bit now? What trends do you see?
Yeah, there. I would agree that demand is continuing to grow. It's fragmenting, though. The specialization is becoming even more important than ever. When we first were in the business, just being a fractional CMO was differentiating enough. Now you've got to be one that has specialization in a certain industry or a certain area. to be more effective or to stand out. It's also certainly a lot of supply. I would agree 100%. And you can take a 6-week course and turn a copywriter into a CMO, evidently, in today's world, which of course is not the case, but that's the kind of supply that's out there. So we have to be able to focus on outcomes as part of the fragmentation. So specialization and outcomes is where we're really spending our energy. And AI is the big technology trend that's really taking over the conversation these days. And
Right.
we're very focused on integrating AI in both internally to make our operations more efficient, but externally helping our clients with opportunities and efficiencies as well.
What is the, I mean, you guys have an interesting model because it's a franchise model. What's the hardest part of scaling up a fractional executive business these days?
Well, it's a great question. So we have a light model, a solo model, and a firm model in our franchise, and the goal is to get somebody in early, as you know, to start your practice, grow to a solo practice, and then turn into a firm. So we've got that built in, and the difficulty from growing a firm is really to find good players, CMOs, other CMOs around you. That's the hard part. It's not finding the clients; it's finding and building the team, because most fractionals are very independent thinking, and their time is money, and they have to switch from, no, I'm a founder, I need to build a team, and their time is their money and my money. And so transitioning from I show up and make money to I got to find other people in my organization that can do the work for me, but then still hold to the same standards that they have, in the same be in the same specialty area that they have, and deliver the same outcomes that they have. That's in any business. That's the hard part.
And Jen, how about you? What so far with the firm, right?
Mhm.
What's been the hardest part of scaling?
Because the supply is so much out there, there's a lot of other fractional COOs. Some will call themselves fractional integrators. I can wear both hats. There is a lot of interest, but a lot of us are used to being behind the scenes. We don't have that marketing background. And so the idea of going beyond a solo in the ops side of things is very limited. Not many people want to do that because we're so used to running somebody else's business. The last thing we think of ourselves as running a business. It's just an interesting change in the ops world. But I do see there's a few like myself who've got that visionary spark and see like that entrepreneurial calling to do something bigger. The way that I see scaling is and I think you'll appreciate this, Joe, is that if you can get your marketing and sales to start causing predictability and know that you can actually rely on it, there's some consistency with your leads, then I think it's a lot easier to scale. It's hard for firms to grow at the same time, like the demand of people wanting to be on your team. Please give me leads. I don't want to go find them, is not always matching. So one of the things that I do, I just had a conversation with someone else who's like, do I join a firm? Do I do this on my own? Is just know the pros and cons of each. And a lot of people don't want to scale, but those who do, like myself, it's about finding, as Joe had mentioned too, finding the right people that fit your culture, fit your processes, have the pedigree that didn't just do the 6-week course and put up the shingle. And so there's not unlike growing any other company where you want to have the right people on your team. The same thing is as you're growing a fractional. It's just a different model because they might be more 1099, or like you're saying, Joe, they might have their own practice, and you're giving them an opportunity to just be a part of a client, not always a part of your practice. So it's a little bit of a difference than saying, okay, time to hire more employees, because the relationship between the firm and the fractional oftentimes is different than a traditional employee-employer relationship.
Okay, so this is a question that probably none of us would have thought much about even 5 years ago, except unless you were like a tech founder. Okay, but and Joe, I want to start with you on this one. What role does your personal brand play these days in the company's visibility?
Oh, I
The
think
brand of Joe.
yeah, it's paramount to the success of the business.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I work with a brand coach. She's great. And what she taught me, this is several years ago, is that as an entrepreneur, you want your brand your personal brand to transcend the company,
Mhm.
because I'm likely, and I have jumped from one company to the next and the next. I want my personal brand to carry over
Right.
without it being tied exclusively to the company. So that's kind of one philosophy, and I believe in that wholeheartedly. But I also know that my network drives a lot of awareness about all of my companies that I'm involved in, and all of my CMOs are tied to me as a leader of the company. And not only do they depend on that brand and my exposure to help drive some awareness and business, but they want a brand that they can feel proud of. And internally, the owner is the brand that they can feel proud of. So I think the personal branding effort that we do as owners and as founders and as fractionals is very, very important and should be one of the major expenses that we consider for ourselves for professional development.
Jen, how about you? How about being visible out there as your own brand? How important is that to the company?
These days, people connect through empathy, understanding. Do I get you? That's a human to human connection. And we are in the people business no matter what you're doing, but especially when you're in professional services, you
Right.
are your product. And so that connection through all of your marketing, through all of your messaging, your networking, as Joe had said, they're connecting to another human. If you don't bring out your human qualities, you're just like a robotic firm. It's not going to work. People aren't going to want to join your team. People aren't going to want to be your client. They want to know that you are a human that they want to be with. Even for myself, when they're not working directly with me because they're working with one of my fractional COOs, they know that I've done the work to make sure they're part of
Mhm.
this culture, that they align with it, because people go and hang out with people who are like them. One of the things you have helped me do, Dean, which is really great, is just sort of lean into my personal brand and how I speak about it, my quirkiness. I'm very playful. So I embrace this like superhero kind of, that's who I see my clients are. They're out to save the world. And I'm like, they're Robin to their Batman, so like that's who I am, is just playful, fun. Let's, but also like serious. Let's get some stuff done. If you think that's annoying, please don't work with me, right? Like, I can't help it. This is who I am. And if you're like, okay, I need someone who's dead serious, I've got great people I can refer you to.
Okay, so a related question, sort of Joe, but focused on the firm this time. So, your firm, there's a difference between your firms, not just that one of you is sort of focused on marketing, the other on operations, but that Jen's firm is much newer than your CMO is. So, Joe, I'm going to get to Jen, same question, but we'll see. Did you like, what sort of messaging or positioning did you guys kind of start with in your sales message, in your marketing message, and did you get it right the very first time? Or did it take a while before you finally got to the one you have today that's working? Assuming the one you have today, you think it's working as well as it should.
It's a great question. We saw the problem the same. Uh,
Uh-huh.
Business owners not getting access to strategic marketing leadership, and therefore relying on agencies that want to just sell you stuff, or trying to hire unicorns that can't do both tactical or strategic, or just winging it on their own and not getting, they're successful, but only to a point. But from a messaging standpoint, we attacked it with a different business model first. We actually had your advisory board was the very first
Oh,
shot
really?
at it. And our plan was to get different
Right.
tactical advisors on in a board format and go to market. And what we found was that the clients only wanted one throat to choke. They didn't want to get 8 people in a room. They want one person to tell them what to do. And the 8 people didn't want to share their piece of the pie. So we took it, we kind of canceled that idea, and we went back and we thought there's got to be a different way. And that's when we came back with the fractional CMO model. And the only other pivot I would say that was pretty significant was when we first started the business as a firm. It was my business partner and I doing our own work for our own clients. Like, that was
Right.
our firm. It was the two of us, and we were very client focused on our messaging, helping marketing be more simple and effective,
Mm-hmm.
and building the process to do that. And then when we started adding people to our firm, other CMOs, we had to change our entire messaging around helping CMOs build the perfect practice. We had to
Right.
change our our mindset and our messaging around helping CMOs be successful and helping them help their clients. And so that was a big shift in both messaging and how we approach the business in order to grow a firm. Because at the end of the day, then they're the people that need to support the clients. We need to support them.
You know, I did my research beforehand, and that's a way more expansive and cool story than I came across. So that's kind of cool. It's like 3 complete regenerated companies in one timeline.
Yes.
Fun.
Yes.
And Jen, like your company's way newer. You've worked for like some like famous people, famous in the fractional world, but company's pretty new. So like, did you like start with one kind of positioning and messaging and like move to a different one, or are you still in phase 1?
It's a good question. And to your point, I'm what's considered one of the pioneers in the fractional COO integrator world. I've been doing this for quite a long time, even before I knew there was a name for it. And so I think I have the advantage of, while my firm is new, I've seen what works and what doesn't work. And Dean and I go way back farther than than my own firm, where I've learned so much from you about the messaging positioning. So I feel like I cheated the system by like you teaching me and learning from you. I think that I got to shortcut some of the things, but it's never perfect first. As you put it out there, you see what resonates and what doesn't. And I think the biggest piece for me, and I find many fractionals are a little afraid to do this, but Joe, you were talking earlier about the specialization. I do think that's where we're going. And I'm constantly sharing with people, like, get into your niche, like a smaller niche, because they're all afraid. Oh my gosh, I got to serve everyone. And whatever it is, you can look at it in different ways. But to me, that really helped me get my messaging faster, if you will, and still keep tweaking it a little bit here and there. But it's truly knowing who is the people that I serve best, or that we can do the best work with, and being able to speak to them is what got my branding messaging, if you will, faster than I think the traditional of like trial and error. What's working? Go out and network. Did they understand what I said? Did they give me a weird look? Or did they be like, oh, I totally know someone I can introduce you to? Which is often how you kind of figure out what lands and what doesn't when you're getting started.
All right. So actually, I want to follow up on that with Jen, and then I'm going to ask Joe the same question. What didn't work for client acquisition? Advertising worked or not work? Networking worked or didn't work? Trade associations worked or didn't work? What didn't work that you thought would work for getting new clients?
I will say one of the things that I think a lot of people do that doesn't work, and I tried this for a long time, is hooking onto other people's coattails. And what I mean by that is that strategic referral partner is different than
Right.
I'm going to go to these networking things and just hope someone else in the fractional space might have some leftovers and give them to me.
Right. All right. That's fair. Yeah. So basically networking groups.
But being in the right networking group, right? So networking with your peers isn't where you're going to get clients. They're also struggling, and hoping you might have a leftover. Networking with your target audience, that's more effective.
That makes sense. And Joe, how about you? Did you guys ever try anything that you thought would be solid for client acquisition and turned out it just fizzled?
Well, we spent about $500,000 finding out how things don't work.
All right. That's an expensive education, but I'm glad it's valuable.
A couple dozen CMOs that all know how to market and all think they have the silver bullet for the X, what I call the X factor of fractional work. It's lead gen, quality lead gen. And I found zero things that work cold. This is a word of mouth business. And as such, what works, just like Jen said, it's networking with the right fractional peers. And I think if we are building a platform called Fractional Pros that is industry specific teams of fractionals that are multidisciplinary, not competitive. So you're not able to ride on somebody's other CMO's coattails in that situation, but you can help another CFO or a COO in that situation. But then if you can get in those rooms with real business owners, founders and owners of the right size companies, that's the networking. I think the other stuff is more thought leadership and marketing related from the platform we're building. But word of mouth drives all, and the CMOs that can um, build those referral relationships are the ones that are turning into firms, and our organization are able to leverage that to grow their practices that way.
So, Joe, it's very word of mouth centric, which means you talk to a lot of prospects. Give me a red flag when you're talking to a prospect where you kind of know we're not for them, and I'm not sure they should be hiring fractional anything.
Yeah, anytime they're fixated on tactics and needing a return in the next 30 days to pay their bills, that's a big red flag. What we have separated it from very early on is we're not tactical. We're not an agency. We do not do that kind of work. We do strategic leadership. And when they're willing to talk about what a leader looks like on their team, inviting them into the weekly C-suite meetings and having real ownership of the budget and the decision making, those are the right types of conversations. But someone who's just looking for, in our world, and help with their email marketing or their digital marketing or their social media or their, you name it, they're just way too tactically focused. A lot of the conversations start there, but if they stick there, that's where we have challenge.
And Jen, how about you for for operations and fractional COO prospects? What's a red flag they could throw up?
To really understand what our job is, we're their right hand, their right hand leader. And if they are not open to being told what they're doing wrong, teachable, being willing to help have someone think through, make a decision, might lead them in a different direction, it's not going to ever work. We can't help them basically run their business with them if they only want to do it the way they've been doing it, or they're stuck in just like it has to be my way type of thing. So that openness to be held accountable, to try something new, to be told this isn't working, but this can, is one of my key things. I try to flesh that out as much as I can, even put a proposal together, but we make it very clear in our proposal, this is what we expect, is that accountability and that willingness to try something different. But the other way I can hear it, as a red flag, is a lot of excuses, blaming, I don't have time, I can't do this type of thing. Then we know that this is probably going to be anything we try to get them to do is going to be met with resistance. And I'm really committed to having people actually do the things that are going to work. I know all fractionals are, all professional services who are truly committed at seeing that impact. And if they're going to get in their own way, it doesn't serve me and it doesn't serve them to try to fix that. They're not willing. It's not going to happen.
All right. So here's a hypothetical, Jen, and also for you, Joe. So something's happened. Someone showed up with a ton of money. They backed up a truck and they wanted to buy your firm lock, stock, and barrel, but there's no non-compete. So now you could start the whole thing again. What would you do differently to start the same company and build the same company again? Or would you build the same company?
Such a good question. I'm just now visualizing a backed up truck full of money.
Here's a different way to look at it. Okay? There's a saying like, what's temporary becomes permanent. Where a decision you make now, because it's sort of the right thing, or it's what we can get away with, or it's what we have resources for, eventually becomes like a fixed part of any endeavor, right? And you look back far enough, or you're in business long enough, you've got several temporary decisions that you weren't looking 10 years ahead. Who can? And so if you had a chance, what would you change?
Yeah.
If you were starting again and maybe leaving behind some of the temporary decisions you had to make, or things that avenues you wouldn't want to go down again?
A couple of things for me, I can see. Most of the core I would keep the same. Yeah. My values, my mission, my purpose, making sure that I align both my clients and my team that are aligned with that we're all kind of rowing in the bigger picture, same direction. But the little things that I'm like, oh, why did you do that? You know better. Some of it is being in operations. I'm sure anyone who's in your area, you got to swallow your own medicine, right? So just making sure quick enough, I take my own medicine. So I always say, if something's off track, what would I tell my client? That's exactly what I need to do. So listening to myself a little bit more. I did hire a fractional COO so that I had someone else. So I had to, take my own medicine. Probably would have really started with that. But the other thing too is that especially when you're starting out, is to make the investment, even if it costs a little more, to get the quality, to get the experts. And so that's some of the things I'm still fixing, because it's like, oh, my budget can only afford this, so you can get a better return, and you can get better results faster, so that you get a higher return and a quicker return if you really just and I will admit, like, I should have hired Dean from day one instead of later in, because now I have to go fix different things. As an example, and he's not paying me to say this, but it is a perfect example. I chose to do a little bit more AI and some copywriting on myself, right? And then I was like, no, I just need to hire Dean.
People should use AI more. I think people should use AI more. And Joe, what
But
would
not
you
in
what would
there.
you do differently if you were starting again today?
Yeah. Um, well, I consider myself a decentralized entrepreneur, which means I'm all over the place and it's hard to stay focused.
Right.
Currently, the future work is where my focus is on fractional and remote and AI. If I had a dump truck in front of me of cash, I would probably go find the next thing. Right now, I think that the current thing that has got me most excited is AI and keeping the humans on the loop in AI and
Right.
leveraging fractional talent to bring AI to market. That's how I would maybe reposition your CMO is an AI forward fractional CMO company. And it's exactly what we're doing. So we are doing that, and there is concern that as AI evolves, who knows what happens to traditional businesses, fractional businesses, and just we're just embracing it as much as we can. Um, but I would also like look at my business model a little bit. The franchise model is difficult and expensive to manage and scale. It was the right choice at the time. I don't know if I'd make that choice again. We're also looking at reevaluating, deconstructing our franchise a little bit into a hybrid scenario because of that. Because really, it's a big commitment. It's a 200-page document and a 5-year contract, and a lot of fractionals aren't there yet. So we get the right ones in and we keep them. We have a great core culture, but it does make a bit of a barrier for growth, and that might be the other area I'd look at differently.
Okay, this has been fantastic. Excellent answers, by the way. I loved it all. Okay, so let's wind it down. Joe, who should be contacting you and your CMO today? And what's the best way to get to you?
The best way to get to me is on LinkedIn, Joseph Frost. Also on Omaha Joe, at Omaha Joe, on all the major channels out there. So you can reach out to me any way you want to. YourCMO.com, it's spelled wrong on purpose. YORCMO.com is our website. You can go there for more information as well.
And who should do it?
Oh, I thought this was just like me telling you all your show notes. I want to talk to anybody that's interested in talking about marketing, period. Our target client's a $5 to $50 million business owner that's usually looking for that first strategic leadership role of marketing in their business. That's who should reach out. But if you want to talk AI or marketing or just anything entrepreneurial, you can reach out to me anytime.
All right. And Jen, who should contact you these days, and what's the best way to do it?
Those who are boutique professional service owners, you're great at what you do, lawyer, accountant, consultant, not so great at running your firm. I'd love to talk to you, point you in the right direction. Maybe it's me, maybe it's someone else, maybe it's a whole different solution, but it doesn't have to be this difficult. If you are a fractional COO or integrator, I have a large and growing community, so you're not alone. We do free peer networking and masterminding each month. So if you're like, okay, maybe I want to do this, or I am doing this, either way, you can reach me at hamiltoncoos.com. Happy to support you, point you in the right direction, even when it's not us.
All right. This has been great. Thank you both. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Jen. See you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Dean.
Thank you, Dean.